Kia ora koutou. I'm going to play for you a little song.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down a road and back again. Your heart is true, you're a pal and a confidant.
It's a great little song. Thank you for being my friends. And one of the description of a church is a community of friends, not just Quakers, but every denomination, every congregation. So to belong to a church community is to be ready to come into a commitment to friendship, to be ready to be a friend to others and to be a friend to yourself. And we bring with us into community our experience of befriending, the joys and sorrows of that, the successes and failures. And we hope to replicate the good stuff. We're always looking to replicate the good stuff. But friendship, generally speaking, is under threat. Our strength in being together, enjoying each other, learning from and supporting each other is under threat. The good stuff is under threat. And the threat is not peculiar to church communities or to us as individuals. It's across the board. There is this torrent of ravaging, sweeping demand, the demons of demand, running over the banks of our boundaries and constraints and flooding into every part of our lives. Demand floods our workplaces. Work is the site of so much of our identity, our self-esteem. And demand threatens to wash away the good, the enjoyment in it. Demand floods our family. The time we have to give to those we love never seems to be enough. Demand floods our self-care. Our time and energy become so depleted that time alone, sleep, a book, a movie, wins every time over meeting with friends. All these good things, work, family, self-care, in this context of raging demand, pull us away from any structures of friendship that do not have the foundations to endure. I knew two male friends who met at primary school. Their friendship grew through their school years. They grew up together, went to youth group together, met Jesus together, supported each other through their romances and through those romances ending. Strong cement went into their relational foundations. Then one of them got married early, had kids early, and went into one of those careers where you come home at 9 p.m. early. The other friend, well, his life went elsewhere. And the strong currents pulled them in different directions. Then one day, some 30 years later, I was told, one of them rang the other up. It was like he was being swept out to sea and had his hand up. And he made a call. Life had taken a bad turn, and he turned to his friend. So they lunched, caught up, remembered and supported. And they did it all again the next week. So it went on until it didn't. More time went by, then the other friend put up his hand. And so on, their relationship lurched. It's not a great model for friendship, but it is really common among the men I talk to. And it is real. Some things you can control, some things you can't. And the societal currents those demons of demand that make friendship difficult continue to be strong. Biblical stories about friendship are few, and they are complicated. The way Jesus was written up in the Gospels doesn't give us much in terms of how to be a good friend. It seemed to be all about the missio Dei, the mission of God, rather than sharing, caring, loyalty, and love among friends. The friendship of Naomi and Ruth was sharing, caring, loyalty, and love. But between a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law, in the context of the strong currents trying to pull them apart, currents of poverty and powerlessness, currents of poverty and race. Ruth was a Moabite, and the powerlessness of having no male provider or male heir. And so these two women clung to each other, and it was a happy ending. The story of David and Jonathan may be the paramount story in the Bible of male friendship, is also set in a context of strong currents. Not the demands of time or poverty and powerlessness, but the political demands of expectation and loyalty. David and Jonathan enter into a covenantal bond. Covenants in the ancient world were usually unequal. Think of marriage, think of covenants with Yahweh, their God. Here, Jonathan, being older, the son of the king, and thus superior in social rank, is the more powerful. Yet the language in the text points to mutuality in this covenant. They exchange clothing, so each carry around part of the other. There are no obligations to fulfill in this covenant. Later, David will say of Jonathan, "Greatly beloved were you of me. Your love was wonderful, passing the love of women." This was a deep friendship, and maybe homoerotic. It was a friendship seen as socially subversive, not because of any sexual bond between these two married men, but because of the class distinction, and most importantly, the reaction of the king to the threat of David. See, King Saul finds his son's relationship with David deeply disturbing because it violates this right to his son's loyalty. The story as a whole is disturbing because, though being, as I say, the paramount biblical story of male friendship, the currents of power and politics prove too strong for this bond, and it does not have a happy ending. David's proclamation of his love for Jonathan, text I just read out, is said at Jonathan's funeral. It's tragic. Is then, given the strong currents pulling friends apart, any hope for those of us seeking caring, sharing friendships of love and loyalty? Well, I believe the state of friendship is not all doom and gloom. With determination, resilience, good sprinkling of luck, some of us have created barriers, sandbags of resistance against the torrents. Friendship is under threat, yes, but not gone under. We can do it differently. I've seen others do it different, and I've done it different. We can build deep, meaningful, and fun friendships that endure. The first sandbag of endurance is knowing and protecting the right amount of time. I have 3 friends with whom I go fishing, which is kind of a male joke because rarely do we go fishing. When we do go fishing, there's only 2 of us who fish. We cheer the others on and crack jokes and eat their food. We've known each other for a long time, and some have known each other longer. We all have some experience with the church at some point in our lives, and we will try and keep on trying to make the world a better place. We live a long way from each other. We don't regularly email, Facebook, text, or even phone. Each year we go through a torturous process of finding a 3-day weekend to spend together. This process, I kid you not, lasts a few months. I think communication via carrier pigeon would be faster. But we find it and we get there wherever there might be this year. 3 uninterrupted days is about what it takes to exorcise the demons and resurrect and revitalize our relationship. We know it, we protect it, and we don't try to meet monthly or twice a year or for a week or whatever. No, we've worked it out like good little theologians that 3 days annually is what it takes, kind of like Easter, the right amount of time. The second sandbag of endurance is getting past the dominance thing. You know, that thing about who is the top dog with the bestest house or the bestest income or the bestest family or bestest jokes. There's all that bravado and all that and all that. I think this is primarily a male problem. And underneath the bravado, of course, is all that need for affirmation that we seek, want, and need from our friends. Do you really think I'm okay? Do you like me? Even if I've screwed up? Even if I don't vote how you vote? Even if I don't believe what you believe? And especially, do you still like me when I'm weak and vulnerable and tearful? Friendship, if it's to endure, needs to be a circle, not a pyramid. A pyramid structure exists to support the one on top. A circle structure means that we can all be shoulder to shoulder together, kind of leaning on each other. One is hierarchical, one is egalitarian. One is for dominance, one is for friendship. To be in a friendship that endures means you need to hold lightly to what the world of acquisition and success venerates, and hold tightly to the values of holding and supporting each other, and if necessary, carrying one another. The third and my last today sandbag of endurance is trust. We begin friendship by finding in our time together the right mix between listening and talking, doing and being. And when that balance is found, a balance that supports us both, we not only know we have a friendship that we want to keep, but also a friendship that generates trust. Trust is a big word. One of the legendary tales of friendship is from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. Frodo, the small and tenacious hobbit, is tasked with traveling to the desolate and dangerous land of Mordor to destroy the magical and destructive ring. Sam, despite Frodo's protestations, goes with him. And we, the readers, these days the viewers, are given this metaphor of the power of friendship between Frodo and Sam. Overcoming through struggle and determination the vastly superior powers of evil and its lackeys. Going to Mordor is therefore a euphemism for suffering. And who will go with you comes down to the real powers at work in your heart. Who is the friend your heart will choose to accompany you to the end? My guess is your heart will always choose the one you trust. I close with a quote from Mark Twain, one of the few of Mark Twain's that doesn't have a twist in its tail. When we think of friends and call their faces out of the shadows and their voices out of the echoes that faint along the corridors of memory, and do it without knowing why, save that we love to do it, we contend ourselves that friendship is a reality, not a fancy that is builded upon a rock and not upon the sands that dissolve away with the ebbing tides and carry their monuments with them. God bless you.